So, all right. Good evening. Welcome to the Gresham-Barlow Board of Education Regular Board Business Meeting, Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025. Sean, Dr. Farnes, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you. We have with us this evening Chris Howitt, currently sitting as chair, which will happen in a different way as soon as we get to that part. Holly Riegelman is currently vice chair. Director Blake Peterson, sworn in at our work session. Brenna Pudabaugh, director. David Ligatich, director. Newly sworn in Heather Coleman Cox, director. Dr. Sean Farnes, director. Superintendent, where's she at? Dr. Tracy Klinger, superintendent. Okay, not that I'm excited or anything. I do not know of anything that has been added or removed from this meeting agenda. So is there a motion to approve the meeting agenda as presented?
I'd move to approve the meeting agenda as presented.
Who was the second? Okay. It's been moved by Blake, seconded by Harley to approve the meeting agenda as presented. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you. We have an agenda. We also have now the reading of our land acknowledgement, and I do like to read that. If that's okay, I'll go ahead and read it. I will read it in just the English. Prior to this, we would have Myra Gomez, who would read it for us in Spanish. I will read it in the English. We acknowledge that the land where Gresham-Barlow School District is located rests on the ancestral and unceded lands of the Multnomah, Cathlamet, Clackamas, Tualatin, Kalapuya, Molalla, bands of the Chinook, and many other tribes who made their homes along the Columbia River. We also acknowledge the systemic policies of genocide, relocation, and assimilation that still impact many Indigenous Native American families today. As settlers and guests on these lands, we respect the work of Native nations, leaders, and families, and make ongoing efforts to center Indigenous knowledge, creativity, resilience, and resistance. We consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us here today. Our next item is the election of board chair and vice chair. We do nominees for that, and it's to serve for 1 year. Currently, I am chair and Holly Riegelman is vice chair. I cannot serve as chair again. I'm limited by statute to do 2 years, 2 years, 3 years, 2 years, 2 years, 2 years, just getting the hang of it at 2 years. So what we have then is we open the nominations, elect from the nominees a chair, move to elect the person, and then at that point, that person will be the chair and take over the meeting. And then we will have the nominations and elections for vice chair. Sarah's looking at me funny. I got it? Okay.
I propose or move to elect Blake as chair and Holly as vice chair.
I believe we do them as one. If we do them separately? Yeah, okay. So Blake, so you want to
So
nominate?
you would be nominating Blake as chair.
I nominate Blake as chair.
All right, is there a second? Do we need a second for that? Okay. We don't need a second?
We don't need a second for nominations,
I didn't
just for the
think so.
motion.
I didn't think so. All right. And then shall we go ahead and do the action on that, or do you want us to do then the second and we'll take the action on both?
You would do the action first for the chair, and then we would do the nominations for the vice chair after.
So are there any other nominations for the chair? Seeing none, all those in favor of Blake Peterson?
So you need the official motion. So
Oh,
it's a little
okay,
clunky. So
sorry,
you've
sorry.
nominated Blake.
Yeah,
Someone
so
needs to
then-
make the official motion to elect him as the chair, and then you'll vote on that election piece.
So, okay, so what did Sean just do? Because Sean
So Sean
do the second
nominated
part.
him.
nominated.
There's
So-
been no other nominations, so you would close your nominations now,
Okay,
and then you make the motion to elect Blake Peterson as the chair.
Sean's ready. Okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead, Sean.
I move to elect Blake Peterson to serve as board chair for 2025-26.
I think actually Heather wanted to second, so I'm gonna let Heather. Okay. All right, so it's been moved by Sean to elect from the nominees a chair for 2025-26. Move to elect Blake Peterson to serve as board chair from 2025 to 26. Moved by Sean, seconded by Heather. Any further discussion? Blake, are you willing to serve if nominated and elected? All right, so with that, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. And I'm gonna turn it over to you now.
Well, Chris, thank you for serving as chair.
Thank you.
At this time, we're ready to open nominations for vice chair.
I nominate Holly Riegelman for vice chair.
I'd like to nominate myself for vice chair.
Okay, are there any other nominations? Okay, so the way this would work is then we would entertain a motion, then we would have discussion, and then ultimately come out with an election. Okay,
So I would move to nominate Holly Riegelman as vice chair for 2025-26.
okay, so that'd be a motion to elect Holly to serve as board vice chair for 2025-26, made by Chris, seconded by Sean. Any discussion?
I would like to thank Heather Cox for putting her name in. I would also recommend some training and some going to some of the classes and things for that and moving into this position. But I applaud that you are willing to serve. And Holly, having been vice chair up to this point, yeah, that I'm comfortable supporting Holly moving on into that position as well, staying in that position.
Any other discussion? Oh. Did you? Okay, no other discussion. So the motion is for Holly to serve as vice chair. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
And I'm always available for consult. My fees are very affordable. Dark chocolate. Yeah.
We have time set aside for citizens' requests of the board. I don't see any in the packet. Did we receive any? No.
We did not receive any, Chair Peterson.
Okay. Our next item is a consent agenda. We have 5 matters on the consent agenda. Those are minutes from a budget hearing and minutes from a regular board business meeting, both from June 4th, minutes from the regular work session on June 18th, and a monthly financial report as of May 31st. Oh, and a personnel report, which is administrative hires, I believe, licensed and administrative hires. With that, all items listed as consent agenda items or matters considered by the board to be routine. They'll be enacted by one motion. The motion requires a second and a vote. There will be no separate discussion of items on the consent agenda unless a member of the board requests specific items be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. So with that, any board members looking to remove an item from the consent agenda for regular discussion?
I
Okay.
would move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, it's been moved by Chris, second by Sean to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion about that specifically? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Right, now we have recognition of our new board members. And so during the May, this has me or Dr. Klinger. Should I just run with it? Okay. All right, so during the May 2025 special election, the following individuals were elected or re-elected to serve on the Gresham-Barlow School District Board of Directors. That's Brenna Peterbaugh for position 3, zone 2, Holly Riegelman for position 4, which is an at-large, myself in position 5, zone 4, and Heather Coleman Cox for position 6, which is an at-large position. The directors named above were given their oath of office at the special work session prior to this meeting, and they'll now be presented with their certificates of election at this time.
So, working on the fly here, we're going to have you guys all come down to Dr. Klinger, and Dr. Klinger is going to hand you your official certificates. And Athena's going to take a picture of that. Yep, yep, yep. Normally I would get to do that, but I'm not gonna get up today. Not because I don't want to. I would love to. Yeah, yeah.
Right, this time we can move to Superintendent and District Leadership Report. Dr. Klinger.
Good evening, everyone. I am going to be reading my comments tonight. As we wrap up another school year, it's a time for celebration, excitement, and most importantly, gratitude. I want to start by congratulating our incredible students. To the graduating class of 2025, they're off to a great start in next adventures in life. We handed out over 800 diplomas, and together, this group has earned millions of dollars in scholarships and thousands of college credits. So whether our students are heading to the trades, the military, college, or the workforce, we are so proud of you and can't wait to see what you accomplish. As we say goodbye to some, we're also about to welcome in our new kindergartners and celebrate with students that are transitioning from one grade or level to the next. From elementary to middle or middle to high school, we see your excitement and the nervousness that comes with something new. This is a time of incredible growth and new beginnings. Thank you to each and every one of our students for teaching me and all of us. You are truly wise beyond your years. With all of that, it's now a time for rest, rejuvenation, and hopefully some fun for our dedicated staff. You have poured countless hours and so much heart into your work to support our students in everything that they do. My deepest appreciation goes out to each and every one of you. Your passion and commitment are what make our district so special. Your hard work is paying off, and it's also a time to reflect on our school's successes and our district's growth over the last year. Our principals recently shared some points of pride and success. Some of those bright spots include improvements in attendance, gains in literacy and reading scores, increased ninth grade on track and graduation rates, more students meeting behavioral expectations, strengthening our teaming structures and systems to support students. We have the highest number of students earning their seal of biliteracy this year. We have 24 students that graduated from the Fast Track Pre-Apprenticeship Program and more than 100 students that earned industry-recognized credentials through our CTE programs. And we have our first group of elementary students in our dual language program that will be moving on to middle school. Each of these accomplishments is a testament to the hard work of our students and our staff. As we're preparing for the year ahead, I would like to introduce our newest administrator to our board of directors. Noah Simonson has been selected as the next principal of East Orient Elementary School. Noah's out in the audience tonight. His passion for education and commitment to students, staff, and the community came through in the hiring process. He has a very strong instructional and professional development background to support East Orient in its ongoing success. He has a dynamic and engaging personality, and we are very excited to welcome him to our amazing team. His excitement for this work is contagious. Before I wrap up my comments for this evening, please indulge me with this opportunity to share some personal gratitude. I want to start by thanking the board of directors for your unwavering support and belief in me as I step into this new role as superintendent. I look forward to partnering with you to take the Gresham-Barlow School District to new heights. I've always been proud to be a part of this district, and it's a true honor to serve our community in this capacity. I'd like to also thank my many mentors over the years who have encouraged me, created opportunities, and continue to be my cheerleaders and support system. Your guidance has been invaluable. When James Hugh announced his retirement at this very meeting last year, it set us on a path of inevitable change. James created opportunities for me to lead and began to prepare us for new leadership. And here we are 1 year later. John Cook stepped in and has guided us these last 6 months as our interim superintendent during a time of uncertainty. He faced challenges head on while also creating space for me as the incoming superintendent to learn, grow, and further prepare for this role. I'm so grateful for the many years that we have been able to work together, even with that every meeting you interrupt. But sincerely, John, thank you for everything. I work with an amazing team of administrators and support staff, both in our district office and in our schools. You all step up to whatever challenge comes your way and lean in to support one another. I will continue to count on you on the journey ahead. We have a very special team here at GBSD, and I'm honored to work alongside you. This is always the hard part. Last and certainly not least, my family. So my husband, Scott, and his parents are here tonight. And my children, Kelsey and Kyle, and my parents are watching virtually. So hi, Mom and Dad. You've all been through the ups and downs with me over the years. You support me, encourage me, challenge me, tell me to rest, and coach me to let things go. You allow me to be myself and put up with all of my verbal processing, or when I'm lost deep in thought trying to problem solve something. You might call it overthinking. You make it possible for me to follow my passion and do this work. I love you, and I couldn't do any of this without you. Thank you.
Well, before we move to board reports, particularly because we have folks watching, thank you for bringing to us Dr. Klinger to this community and to this opportunity to serve our kids and our staff. We are overjoyed that you're going to step into the superintendent role, and can't wait to serve beside you as well. So, and thank you, John, for your 6 months of service in this role in a challenging time for us. Board reports, I'm going to just kind of popcorn it. So I'm going to go with our outgoing chair, Chris Howitt, to start.
All
with you.
right, thank you. As Dr. Klinger mentioned, we had quite a few graduations and things. I didn't quite get to go as many as I normally do. The two that I went to were the Springwater Trail graduation, always a high energy, absolutely fantastic parents and family. And I do believe I cried at that one. If I don't cry, then I don't know what. And then I was also able to attend the Ray Academy. I haven't always made it to that one. And again, another very high energy. And this one will make me cry even going back over it again. I was able to personally hand a very hard-earned diploma to a very special student. And I wanted to give just a little bit of a shout out to Wani Santiago, I believe is her last name. She went above and beyond in helping this student make sure that they were able to graduate, and was, I would say, in a very kind, gentle way, tenacious with every time someone would say, not sure we can do that. And she would say, I believe we can. And she was able to help this student graduate, and the tears that flowed when we were able to hand this student their diploma was amazing. So I just wanted to give a huge shout out to Wani. I also would like to ask, I have been reading the land acknowledgement at the board meetings for the last couple of years, and I would like to know, as we move forward in that, we have been reading an acknowledgement, and I would like to have a little bit more of an actionable, what are we doing with this? What are we doing with it? So bringing that, whether that's to the board retreat that's coming up, but how are we acknowledging the land acknowledgement? What is it that we're doing with our students? How are we incorporating that into our curriculum? How are we making this a living statement instead of a very well read statement, but it right now at this point is beginning to feel I haven't memorized, and I'd like to have a little bit more punch to it. And what is it that I should be doing as a board member with it as well? So that would be my request from that this time. And I believe that is it for me tonight. Chair Peterson.
Sean, we'll go to you.
Last month was graduation season. I had the honor to attend the Ray graduation ceremony, as well as Gresham High School's and Barlow High School's graduation ceremony. And it was it was awesome to be able to shake, what, 800 hands or something like that, and each person that walked across that stage has an individual story and individual accomplishments. And so it was really, really cool to be part of that. Um, while it is not a school sport, these students do attend our schools. I wanted to give a shout out to the Barlow JBO senior national team. They are going to state for this is only the fourth time ever that a JBO team at any level has sent a team to state. So I want to congratulate those boys and wish them luck. Next weekend, Friday through Sunday, is the state tournament.
All right, I'm going to jump over to David.
I'll stay on the graduation because that's the best, absolute best time of year for us. Uh, Barlow, to watch those kids go around and then get their name called and they're all just like this back there. And then they come right out. They're like 4,000 people, hot lights, all this stuff, shaking 450 sweaty hands, but well deserved. Welcome Brenna and welcome Heather. My first 2 years on the board has been a roller coaster ride of learning. Um, and to say the least, it's been very, I'll use the word exciting. Um, Visit the schools whenever you can, because if you have the opportunity to do it, do it. John, when I took this position, I didn't think I'd meet someone like you. And I mean that in a very positive way. You know, you went through 6 months of craziness, and I appreciate you so much. And Tracy, when we were doing the interview process, there was nobody that stood out more than you. Your story in this district is amazing, and I can't wait to be working with you for 2 more years.
Thanks, David. Heather.
I don't have
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Brenna.
I was just gonna say, I have gotten the book of all of the things that we need to learn. I'm super excited to just dive in and learn, and so I've started that, and then I'm excited to serve this community.
And Holly.
I don't have much. It is graduation season, and I did make it to two. I went to the adult learning program graduation, which I hadn't been to before, and that was amazing. I think I touched on it at the last meeting. And then I also got to go to the Barlow graduation, which was extra special this year because I had a son graduating. So I got to sign his diploma and shake his hand. So off to summer, I hope teachers get their rest and relaxation and are ready to go come school time again.
All right, we do have on the schedule a brief recess. Yep, we'll take 5, and we'll be back here then at 7:27. Time and place of the 2025-26 board meetings. Policy BCBCA requires the board to provide for the date, time, and place of its regular meetings for the fiscal year in July of each year. 2025-26 proposed calendar includes July and August for the 26-27 school year, just for planning purposes. As part of the development process, a draft schedule was developed for discussion feedback. At the May 21st board work session, the board discussed the draft schedule. The proposed schedules were presented for first reading in June 4th board business meeting, and the possibility of changing the days of the board meetings from Wednesdays to Thursdays was discussed. Board secretary was directed to create 2 meeting date schedules, one for meetings held on Wednesdays and another for meetings held on Thursdays for the board to review. Both schedules are being presented for consideration and adoption this evening. So open it up for any questions. Are you saying we have not decided on date? We have not. So what we really have is 2 motions. I think how this will probably happen is one of those days will be moved, potentially seconded, and then we would have discussion about that. Vote on that will establish which of the days we end up with. But right now, if there's any questions of the district, or that's what we'd be at right now.
I'd like to move.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah. I'd like to make a motion to move for the meetings to be conducted on Thursdays.
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved by Heather, seconded by Chris to adopt the 2020, well, I'm going to apply language here, and if there's disagreement with it, please let me know. So to adopt the 2025-2026 regular board meeting schedule for Thursdays as presented. Any discussion?
So previously we did have our meetings on Thursdays. That has been the practice for quite some time. We did try Wednesdays, looking to see whether or not that would help with attendance and scheduling. It didn't seem to help. Sometimes it was a little bit hard to get a quorum for our meetings. And so I would strongly request that we move it back for that reason, as well as that extra day of when meetings have to be posted, the information posted, the work level for staff to get things ready. Having it on Thursday seemed to be a little bit better workflow, seemed to flow also with various days off that happen throughout a regular school year. So I would strongly recommend and appreciate moving them back to the Thursdays.
I would say let's keep it on Wednesdays. You know, we have events that take place on Thursdays. The struggle to keep quorum, you know, I wonder how much of that was after January when we had a board member no longer with us, so we were automatically down a board member. So I question that particular point.
I would also agree with Sean. I actually went through the calendar of events for Gresham High School and Barlow High School for last calendar year that just ended. And 2/3 of the activities and events, band, choir, theater, sporting events, are on a Thursday as opposed to a Wednesday. So for me personally, it will be a challenge to get to Thursdays over Wednesdays, because I think it's important for us to go and support our students at their events in the schools. So
I want to point out one thing. The titles of the documents are titled 24-25, but content's correct. If that matters, I want to make sure that's pointed out if you guys do.
Thank you.
Yes, I would like to make a plea for Thursdays because personally for me, I am enrolled in a micro-credential program with the University of Oregon, and it is a synchronous online class on Wednesdays from 5:30 to 8, and that is in direct conflict with the Wednesday scheduled meetings. And I do understand supporting the students on Thursdays. I'm not sure how many people outside of you do that. So I have a very personal and strong desire for the meetings to be moved to Thursday.
Other discussion from particularly those we haven't heard from? Okay, so, Chris,
I do recognize that there are a lot of activities that our schools are involved in, on many, many days. And, we're here as board members, and our board member work is just as important as our parent work as well. And, again, looking at the work impact to staff that provides the material for us, and hearing now from, Director, thank you, Coleman Cox, I want to make sure I got it the right direction, Coleman Cox, having a slight conflict, which does come up occasionally. We're looking at 2 Thursdays a month, having one that is our business meeting and one is our work session. And it, I recognize, Sean, that you had looked at the, attendance when we did not have an extra board member, but prior to that, it wasn't any better by having it on Wednesdays. We still had quite a few absences. We were not 100% at many of our board meetings, whether it was the work session or the business meeting. So I had thought that Thursdays might be an alternative to go back to again, since we did have Thursdays for quite a long time. And we have asked over the years schools to not schedule certain things, but again, there's only so many days in the calendar for everything to get scheduled, and our work is here for this. So that'll be my last plea on that.
I'll just clarify real fast that when I counted the dates, I didn't count my own student sports. I counted every athletic event of all kinds, drama, choir, theater, all of which my children don't do. So it's not about me personally getting to my students' events. I've missed lots of my students' events to be on the board. It's about me feeling like it's important for us to support our schools and being at events in our buildings so that we know what's going on. So it's more about that. Personally, yes, it is easier for me. We're all sharing personal reasons why it would be easier on whatever day. That's an overall statement about events, not personal. So just to clarify that.
all right, any other discussion?
Yeah, I just would like to add that, as Chris indicated, there are multiple school events going on multiple days, not just Thursday. So we could still support the students on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and a Friday. So by us moving to Thursday, that's not going to preclude us from attending events that happen on other days outside of Wednesday. And additionally, before I won the election, I had already signed up for this micro-credential training through the University of Oregon. I was actually provided a scholarship. So I would like to be present at this credentialing program. It's centered around mental health, which I think would be very beneficial for my skills as a director going forward. So I would really like a strong consideration for Thursdays.
Could I ask how long the credentialing program is?
It is a 12-month program.
Okay, well, we have a motion and we've had discussion. So the motion on the table, which was made by Heather and seconded by Chris, correct? Is to approve the Thursday regular board meeting schedule. So I'm going to ask all those in favor signify by saying aye, and we'll do a head count vote.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? I'm opposed. David, do you have? Okay. So then that motion fails.
I would move to adopt the 2025-26 regular board meeting schedule for Wednesdays as presented.
Okay, so it's been moved by Holly, second by Sean. Is there any distinct discussion about that? What I will say is I will do, provided this passes, I will do my very best to coordinate schedule in advance and coordinate agendas in advance to try to get in front of any deconfliction. I'd ask for the support of the superintendent, recognizing the conflicts that are inherent in this kind of schedule making. That we'll try to get out in front of all agendas so that the board can consider them and then try to be as flexible as possible to be to allow for attendance at as many as possible. Was there other discussion?
Does every meeting have to be on the same day? Could it fluctuate? Could it be one Wednesday and a Thursday, or does it have to be consistently the same day?
Yeah, it's a fair question, and I would look toward the superintendent and maybe the board secretary for assistance on that answer.
I honestly don't know. I have never heard of it being on separate days. I mean, as long as we post it ahead of time, I don't see what would preclude that from happening. Yeah, we've never tried it that way.
It would be just having to think about it.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's a rule.
Coming up.
If that was to happen, what stress would that put on the staff?
I think the heaviest burden is honestly on Sarah in terms of gathering agenda items and just having staff prepared with presentations and things in a timely fashion. We try to have everything on the agenda when it posts on Friday, so you have time to review. Changing days would just probably add to some confusion around that we'd have to work through, but it's possible.
Chair, added to that, our meeting cadences, our district leadership meeting cadences are somewhat built around this schedule as well, our weekly meetings, so it would impact that and how we have our district level leadership meetings, including principal meetings, so it would cause a pretty big calendar shift week to week for all of us.
None of the decisions are ever easy. It's so hard to appease everybody at the same time.
Okay, well, we have a motion and a second. I think the other part is I will work offline with Dr. Klinger, with you, Director Kolmcock, to talk about what that program looks like and what, even from an hours standpoint, we might be able to try to facilitate. But I'll take those conversations offline with board leadership and try to navigate that. Okay, any other discussion? Right, so the motion is on the table from Holly, seconded by Sean, to approve the Wednesday meeting schedule. All those in favor? And I'm an aye. Okay, opposed?
Opposed.
Opposed.
Okay, so the Wednesday schedule passes 5-2. That takes us to our next agenda item. We have an amendment to Specialist 2025 through 27 Memorandum of Understanding. This has Mr. Cook's name on it.
Thank you, Chair. In hindsight, we realized that there were some things not added into the memorandum of understanding that we presented to you, I believe, in May for our confidential staff. One, salary changes, and the second piece is a stipend for those who are fluent in a second language. Those are in all of our other contracts. They were missed. This is just needed to be added in so that we can make sure the record was straight.
Yeah, so I would move to approve the amendment to the 2025-27 Memorandum of Understanding between Gresham-Barlow School District and Specialist, formerly confidential, staff members as presented in Addendum A.
right, it's been moved by Chris, seconded by Sean to approve the amendment to the 2025-27 memorandum of understanding between Gresham-Barlow School District and specialist formerly confidential staff members as presented in addendum A. Any discussion?
Does it change the budget?
No,
Because it was already budgeted and it just wasn't in the,
this is just language that we needed to
so
include.
same buckets.
Yes.
Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Now we have policy review, first reading, for two policies, EFA local wellness and FF naming of new facilities. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Klinger.
So typically we don't discuss policy at our business meeting, but we have urgency on one of the policies and we need feedback on the other. So this is another item that was moved to this meeting from our last work session. So looking at the local wellness policy, for those of you new to the board, we work with OSBA to help update our policies. They make recommendations to us. So some of the language that you will see that's either struck or highlighted is either added or deleted language. So our, this policy was updated a couple of years ago and then was flagged by ODE as being out of compliance. So us needing to do this update is related to that feedback from ODE. As our policy committee met, Chris was there with us as a part of the discussion. Under the section around implementation, we had originally talked about removing those bulleted numbers and just going with the language there that we had previously had. But in further review, we feel like we would be leaving some things out. So my recommendation is that we move forward with this language that does meet the requirements of ODE. The rest of the policy in our policy review committee, we accepted or recommended that language. The only change was that first part. So typically this is a first reading. If the board feels comfortable, we could entertain a motion around that tonight. If we wait, then we would move it to our September board meeting and consent agenda, which technically the school year will have started. It would be better if folks are comfortable to do this now, and if not, then we'll make it work. So that's separate. So maybe we decide what we want to do about that one first, and then we can move on to the other policy.
And I will say, as being part of the committee on this one and also part of the committee when we first were putting a lot of this in, I think on the wellness one, EFA, it's a cleaner policy, a little bit more straightforward and easier to manage. I think before it had a lot of additional information that really was more in an administrative regulation type component as opposed to a policy component. And so it just clarified some things and made it consistent across there. And I think it's what we've been doing as well. And it just clarifies what it means. So that one I would recommend is from the committee that one has been discussed a lot. And I think it is ready for adoption as revised. And as always, any policy, we can always go back to them at any time and look at them again and revise it. But at this point, it gets us to a more solid place. And I think it gets it in place before the beginning of the school year.
So reading through this, it kind of skips back and forth a lot. So this, in some sections, it talks about wellness. Other sections, it talks about school lunch. And in other sections, it seems like it's more of like a health class. Is it all of those wrapped up into the one policy, or?
It is because it's federal, right, Tracy, that it kind of was wrapped up when
Yes.
it came many years ago.
And that's part of why we decided to leave these items at the beginning, those numbered items, because it's almost like a little table of contents of what's in the policy. So it is the updated PE minutes, it is health instruction, it is all of those things. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions about EFA? Okay, what about FF, naming of new facilities?
So the new facilities, so this was a request of the board to revisit this policy. And as a part of that process, the policy committee reviewed policy from 3 other districts. This is really a starting point of some drafted language. What you have there in blue is my words based on what I felt like I heard from you. It's not something, that's been provided by OSBA. So really, we're at the point of determining if the language provided there starts to meet some of the needs that you've been talking about in terms of naming of facilities, how we clean that up, how do we honor people, that may be living still as a part of that process. So if you look at this policy, one of the things in the 3 samples that we reviewed was that change in paragraph 2, where I changed it to names of persons who are living or have been deceased for less than 3 years will not be considered. That's in terms of naming facilities, but that was pretty standard language across the other policies that I reviewed. Those other 2 sections really get to part of what I was hearing in your feedback was around the timeliness of naming of facilities, and then how long does that go on? So how do we have some kind of process or review that when a building is torn down and a library is not renamed, or something changes, then how do we adapt kind of with the times? So this is, like I said, just a starting place. So the first section, naming areas or spaces, that is, that would require someone who is, yeah, people who are living or have been deceased less than 3 years for that section. The honorary plaque seemed to be something that there was a lot of conversation about at our work session. And so that seemed to be maybe the way to honor somebody that is still living, still with kind of a 5-year parameter around a review process with the board. So totally open to feedback.
Thank you for doing the research. My question is around the restriction of living and people who've been dead less than 3 years. I mean, I could think of some pretty impactful people that are still living that I would love to be able to honor. And I would hate to wait till they're dead and dead for a while to honor them. So I mean, if that's the way the board, I'm not gonna, it's not a hill I'm gonna die on, but I just my question around, there's some facilities that could be named after, in my opinion, living people that have contributed a lot to this district.
And I think part of where the committee came up with the delay is it gives a little bit of time that maybe you didn't fully know that person until they were gone. And did you want to name something after someone that then comes back maybe not favorably? That's where we came up then with the opportunity to have a special honorary plaque that does not rely on the person being deceased. So you can have, for instance, a theater room, a music room, a library, and a space where you could say, you could do someone that was still living, someone that retired, someone that had done something, that you could have a gym. But my question has been with a lot of this, we were inconsistent in how places were being acknowledged, how long it was acknowledged, who did the acknowledgement, how it was done, and was it there forever? Could you never go back and say, you know what, that person isn't there anymore? The significance is not the same. We've rebuilt the school, we've rebuilt the space, we'd like to honor someone else. And so that was kind of where we were coming up with the plaque part, but I am definitely more comfortable in if we are going to name a space for someone as opposed to spaces or a building, naming of areas or spaces in a school or district. Naming a building's a little bit different, and we didn't really go too far into that. That's a whole nother.
The naming a facility is that top section that's been existing policy. So a whole building is what's up there in black. A space is that middle paragraph, and then an honorary plaque would be the bottom.
So the building still follows a process. The space, which would be the gym, the library, the cafeteria, a field. We have new fields now. How would we want to name those? And again, kind of giving it time to be a commemorative as opposed to, if you wanted to do something more recent, the honorary plaque. with the idea that it could also go away after a certain amount of time. Maybe after 10 years, somebody doesn't remember that.
Just to clarify, both the naming of this area and spaces and the plaque currently in this blue is listed as living or have been deceased.
No, the special honorary plaque, is living or deceased, right? And then
It's
you're
saying
saying that the,
Of areas, yeah, the,
Okay.
1, 2,
Yeah.
third row
less,
down.
deceased for less than 3 years will not be considered.
Says names of person who are
Are
living or have been
Deceased for less than 3 years will not be considered.
So will not be.
Will not.
Okay.
Right.
That's the
Yeah.
difference.
Thank you.
Because it's a little bit more permanent.
David?
So the only option of somebody who's living would be option 3.
Mhm.
I think sometimes we have people that do amazing things and you want to honor them with an amazing thing. We can't say everybody out there has something in their closet because that's probably less than 1%. And God forbid we choose that wrong person. But if we put that person on a plaque and they're that bad person, I don't see the difference.
I had a question. How long has the um, deceased for over 3 years, has that been a portion of our policy?
That blue part at the top, that was added. That was something I added based on the review of other policies. So that, what it just, what struck names of living persons will not be considered is what our previous policy was.
Kind of getting a litmus test on where we feel on these policies. It feels like the first policy probably is ready to move forward, and maybe we're looking at more discussion on FF.
Mhm.
Okay, so board, consider that, maybe we're looking at a single motion for policy EFA. As it relates to policy FF, I think information that would be helpful to the board is what facilities and spaces are currently named after somebody within the district. And how long, yeah, I'm aware of facilities that are named after living persons right now within the district. And so I think just a kind of a lay of the land for that,
Mhm.
and then understand what the implications of our policy discussions will be.
So I would go ahead and I would make a motion to approve the changes to policy EFA, the local wellness, especially since that one is a requirement of the district and it is ready to go. So I'd make that motion.
Okay, it's been moved by Chris, second by David, to approve policy EFA revisions. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right,
And then do we need to make a request to move it back to committee or we're just gonna move it back to committee?
The intent was really just to gather some feedback and,
Okay.
and continue the conversation. I believe the committee would welcome any kind of feedback or ideas.
And I think getting, like Director Peterson asked for, the list of
Yeah.
what do we know of that actually has names and plaques and things on it.
next are information items. We have a monthly financial report that was already approved in the consent agenda. I suppose unless there's anything significant to speak to, okay, then that's available for the board's review. With that, we come to announcements. We have an August 21st board strategic planning session that is all day at a location to be determined somewhere within the district boundaries, or else it will be announced. August 21st, we'll have a board social. That's not a meeting, and we will have a quorum of the board present, but it will not be for the purpose of discussing board business. September 3rd, September 3rd will be the regular board business meeting at 7 p.m. right here in council chambers. And with that, there being no other business before the board, we are adjourned.